You're watching The Last Word with me, Maria Shakil. Trouble growing for Justin Trudeau, both within and outside Canada. The leader of the Conservative Party in Canada has slammed him over the diplomatic row with India. Pierre Poilievre, who is Canada's preferred choice for Prime Minister in some opinion polls for the elections in 2025, has said that Mr. Trudeau is not worth the cost after 8 long years, and that he is considered a laughingstock in India. The relationship between India and Canada, remember, has been at the lowest ebb since Prime Minister Trudeau said in the Parliament last month that his government had credible allegations linking the killing of Khalistani terrorist Nijjar in June with the agents of the Government of India. Allegations which haven't been backed by any evidence till date. Firing a fresh salvo, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said that there was continuous interference from Canadian personnel in India's internal affairs. This serious charge coming after India spoke for Parity and Canada withdrew 41 diplomats from India. Let's listen in from Dr. S. Jaishankar.
Parity is very much provided for by the Vienna Convention, which is the relevant international rule on this. But in our case, we invoked parity because we had concerns about continuous interference in our affairs by Canadian personnel. We haven't made much of that public. My sense is over a period of time, more stuff will come out. And people will understand why we had the kind of discomfort with many of them which we did.
Well, after 8 years of Trudeau, our reputation is in tatters. Beijing is interfering in our country, running police stations in Canada to abuse our people. Justin Trudeau is considered a laughingstock in India, the world's biggest democracy. President Biden is walking all over Trudeau and treating him like a doormat and slapping him around like a rag doll.
Joining me on the show, Terry Milinsky is the author of Blood for Blood, 50 Years of the Global Khalistan Project. We also have Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, former diplomat. I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Terry. The larger sense is that when Justin Trudeau spoke in Parliament, he did not really have any evidence because India has been asking for evidence for the last few months and India hasn't really got any. So the larger, then is there a sense that that was more of a splash being said because there are domestic compulsions, or did Justin Trudeau feel the heat domestically?
Well, all of the above is true. He certainly did feel the heat domestically, but I think that he also believed that his intelligence people had produced something that persuaded him that there was some connection between the murder of Mr. Nijjar and somebody who had something to do, we don't know what, with the Indian government. But the problem has been that he has failed since then to produce any shred of evidence. The government claims, well, it's classified, and they say, well, we don't want to interfere with the investigation, prejudice any future trial. Well, I'm sorry, that ship has sailed, hasn't it? I mean, he's already announced the result of the investigation by booting out an Indian diplomat. He's already pointed the finger that the Indian government is guilty in this matter. So forget the niceties. He's already announced the results of the investigation in a sense. So I don't see that these excuses for not giving more detail, I don't think they stand up. And Trudeau, in any case, is hardly riding high in the polls. To put it mildly, he would lose the next election if it were held tomorrow, according to all of the polls. In fact,
because NDTV had done a survey as well, and the results of our survey, and I'll ask the producer to put that on our television screens. The larger sense certainly was, Terry, that Justin Trudeau's statements in Parliament weren't really taken well by Canadians because they realized that it was more of diversionary tactic. When the leader of opposition there, Pierre Poilievre, says that he would restore a professional relationship with India if his party comes to power, Is that what people want?
Well, there's no question that there's a large section of the population, both in India and in Canada, who say, well, who's going to shed any tears for Mr. Nijjar, who turns out to have been a rather unsavory character, to say the least, and in Indian eyes, a terrorist. Canada didn't classify him as such, but nevertheless, it's clear that he was a member and a leader of the Khalistani Tiger Force, exactly as India had alleged in its claims made to Canada. And it's clear that the Canadian government is simply refusing to give us any detail, or the Indians any detail, as to what exactly is the connection that's supposed to exist between the Indian government and this murder. At least that is the official story. But the Indians say they're not getting any detail. However, the Canadian leaks, and of course there's a war of leaks, the Canadian leaks are no. At the official level, before the G20 summit meeting in New Delhi, the frosty meeting between Mr. Modi and Mr. Trudeau, before that, weeks before that, at the official level, Canada did indeed present some details to the Indians. The Indians didn't deny it, but didn't help with the investigation. And the implication is that there's some evidence that may be in Indian hands, for example, somebody that Canada would like to interview, a suspect or suspects that Canada would like to interview that are not in Canadian jurisdiction, but Indian. So there's maybe more to it than just no details. There may be some.
Yes. Ambassador Yogesh, India has spoken about diplomatic parity, and Canada has withdrawn 41 diplomats from India. The charge that came in from Dr. S. Jaishankar was that there were interference in the internal affairs of India. That's a strong charge that is coming in. Would you say that India-Canadian ties are at an all-time low, and who do you blame for that?
Well, it's very clear that the relationship has been affected because the Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Trudeau, he chose to blame India before, presenting any hard evidence. And not only that, he even declared one of Indian diplomats in Canada as he asked us to withdraw one of our diplomats. So, you don't do such things until and unless you have some strong evidence with you, unless you can tell the other government and you can tell the international community that, look, here's the evidence of the other country's involvement. But we have been waiting for months, and we haven't been given any evidence. And we have assured Canada at the level of the foreign minister and other levels that we are ready to cooperate, we are ready to help Canada, we are ready to join in their investigation. So in case they want to sort of seek any help from us, we have shown our readiness.
Why do you think Justin Trudeau made that announcement on the floor of the House and did not really follow the diplomatic protocol?
Yeah, exactly. So we are, Canadian charges or Justice Trudeau's charges are just hanging in the air. And without any evidence, he has gone ahead and taken such strong action, of expelling one of our diplomats from Canada. And not only that, most worrisome thing is that Indian diplomats in Canada, they are unable to function properly because they are being blackmailed, they are being threatened by these separatist elements. And in violation of Canada's obligations under the Vienna Convention, they have failed to provide the required security to our diplomats, So we have a bizarre situation that while our missions in Canada are unable to function, here is Canada, which was operating with a large, oversized mission, in India. So they are not providing security to a small Indian, to a complement of small Indian diplomats in Canada and wanted to maintain a large, oversized mission in India. So this is not something, which is acceptable under the circumstances that they are interfering in our domestic affairs. They are indulging in such practices. So that is the bane of the problem.
Okay. Final word to you, Mr. Terry. Of course, we are seeing here in the realm of domestic politics also in the run-up to 2025, here is Justin Trudeau's political opponent saying that his pitch is that here is a Prime Minister who's become laughing stock in India because of the, Canadian, the Indian population which is there in Canada, the impact that Indians have in Canada's domestic politics. And he says that he would ensure that there is, professional equation with India if he actually wins the elections. Will that really be a talking point going ahead?
Well, it's no doubt that that you will hear more along the same lines from Mr. Poilievre during the next election campaign. He's going to cash in on Trudeau's embarrassment over this affair, although that embarrassment may not be permanent. What we have is a sort of a stalemate where he's refusing to reveal what his evidence is. That puts him in a weak position. But at the same time, we have to remember that the Indians know what his evidence is. I mean, he has met with Mr. Modi. And Mr. Modi, I don't think any Indian would expect that Mr. Modi in that meeting with Trudeau would have sat there like a potted plant and asked no questions about what are you saying? What is your evidence? Where is it? Let's hear it.
Okay.
And so he knows whatever it is that Trudeau knows, and he is in a position, if he wished to, he could step up and say, all right, I know why Trudeau won't reveal the evidence, is because it's rubbish. And here's why it's rubbish. And lay it all out.
All right.
He could blow Mr. Trudeau out of the water if he wanted to, but he's not done that. I wonder why. I'd like to know why.
All right, Ambassador Yogesh Gupta and Terry Milinsky, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, the withdrawal of Canadian visa and consular services from Chandigarh, Mumbai and Bengaluru has created a major hurdle for students getting ready to enroll in universities for the upcoming winter session, which is starting from January next year. Here's a report from Ghazali, and then I get the guests.
The safety of Canadians and of our diplomats is always my top concern.
With mounting diplomatic tension between Canada and India, the services at the Consulate General of Canada office in Chandigarh have been temporarily suspended. This is worrying for Punjab, where Canada is the top educational destination of choice. Massive billboards of IELTS coaching centers and visa consultancies can be spotted in almost every village in Punjab. As per the Canadian government, over 2,26,000 visas were approved for Indian students in 2022. Of this, nearly 1.36 lakh students are from Punjab. Currently, nearly 3.4 lakh Punjabi students are enrolled in Canadian institutes. In 2021, 35% of foreign students in Canada were Indians, most of them from Punjab. Many parents like Surekha Sharma from Jalandhar are worried.
मैं इधर आई हूँ, मेरे बेटे की हमने फाइल लगाई हुई है, तो अभी कुछ जैसे हालात चल रहे हैं, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि क्या होगा फ्यूचर में.
क्या चल रहा है इस समय की मांग?
सर, इस समय तो काफ़ी डर लग रहा है फाइल के रिगार्डिंग. इस समय मेरी फाइल एक्टिवली एम्बेसी में गई हुई है और दिन ब दिन नेगेटिव खबरें आ रही हैं कि आज कल जो चंडीगढ़ में था ऑफिस हाई कमीशन का, वो बंद हो गया और पहले इंडिया ने भी कनाडा से जो आ रहे थे लोग इधर, उनको भी वीज़ा देना बंद कर दिया. तो उस वजह से ना फाइल के रिगार्डिंग काफ़ी डर लग रहा है, कोई भी श्योरिटी नहीं है.
Immigration consultants say that the closure of the consulate office in the region will delay the visa process.
लॉन्ग रन में सर जो वीज़ा प्रोसेसिंग को लेके चले हैं, तो जो नॉर्मल फाइल डिपॉजिट जो होती है VFS में होती है जी, तो वो ओपन हो ही रहा है, वहाँ पे फाइल डिपॉजिट हो रही है. बट अल्टीमेटली जो है कि डिसीजन मेकिंग जो प्रोसेस है उसके चांसेस है कि थोड़ा स्लो हो सकता है. वैसे तो नॉर्मली जो 89% प्रोसेसिंग है ग्लोबल सिस्टम है इनका आउट ऑफ इंडिया ही होता है. बट आफ्टर वीज़ा डिसीजन जो प्रोसेसिंग है, स्टैंपिंग ऑफ पासपोर्ट है, वो इंडिया में होती है और उसके लिए स्टाफ अब बहुत कम रह गया.
India-Canada relations have taken a hit in the last month and its impact will be felt in Punjab. But only time will tell whether it will bring down the number of student applications from Punjab. With Mohammad Ghazali, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Joining me on the show, Aditya Bhati. He is a visa advisor. We have Kratika Bhardwaj joining me from Surrey. She's a student in British Columbia. Paras Vashwanath is an Indian student who is waiting for his visa. Aditya, I'm going to begin with you. Before I bring in the students, I want to understand from you, are you getting requests from students and their parents that they are ready to explore universities in other countries?
Hi, Mariano. The simple answer is no. Students who intend to go to Canada have not changed their plans. They understand there could be a slight delay in visa application process, which means some of them who have not been able to submit your visa applications on time may have to defer to the next intake, but that's about it. The feedback from on ground in Canada is everything is fine. In fact, this kind of a news about the political tension is more in the Indian media. The students in Canada, they don't even know that this is a big issue. They know there is something that's happening. And on ground, in reality, they're not facing any hassles. Most of these students who are planning to go already have friends, seniors, family there. They're also able to get similar feedbacks. So there's no real worry as such.
Okay, there's no real worry. Kritika, since you're studying there, give us the real picture.
So as per I have experience here, I honestly was not even aware of the situation before, unless my parents and my relative called me and told me about the tension which is going on. On the other side, personally what I have experienced is I do felt a little bit discriminated with the Punjabi students which are here. And international Indian students are safe, I would say, unless and until they know their limits or they do not go against the pro-Khalistani agendas which are right here. And another thing which I'm concerned of, there has been one pro-Khalistani referendum which is being held on coming October 29. So I think students should be a little aware of that as well. Okay. Otherwise, I won't say there is any danger to the student as of now.
Okay. Paras, what are your concerns since you're waiting for a visa?
Actually, ma'am, I am not much concerned about this because there are my friends and my senior as well. So I had a talk with them about this issue only, and they told me that, yeah, everything is fine there. So you don't have to much face such issue.
All right. Aditya, coming back to you. So the students are really of the opinion that there is nothing much to worry. They aren't really looking at too much of uncertainty, but this delay, because the admissions and the classes would begin in January, how much of delay are you preparing the students for?
See, anywhere around a week to maximum of 2 to 3 weeks. So that's the kind of delay that I think people would expect. And again, I think somebody earlier was saying that a lot of the processing of visas actually online, global. So about 89% applications are processed through that route. It's the actual stamping of the passport that's probably going to get affected. But then again, because this issue had started a while back, most of the students were aware and they know that if they file their visa application on time, they're likely to get through. So in my opinion, even now, students who are going to file their visa, say, next 2 to 3 weeks, they should be about safe. Anybody who's going to probably cross 10th November or so, probably then they might end up having to defer. But by and large, most people who have got visas in the last couple of months have got them in around 20 days to say 30 days window. So it's not really a cause of worry for people who are in a position to submit their visa application, say by 10th, on a higher side by 15th November. 10th would be my deadline, I would say.
And, because of the withdrawal of Canadian visa and consular services from these three cities, Chandigarh, Mumbai and Bengaluru, is there some timeline that has been given? When will it be resumed?
Nothing official as such at this stage. We hope that the governments are working to find a solution to this, but there's nothing official about when it's going to come back to status quo.
Paras, why exactly are you interested in studying in Canada? Because, students have multiple reasons.
Ma'am, actually, I'm going for my higher studies. So, and there are some friends of mine and my seniors also. So, yeah, that's why I plan to move for my higher studies.
Okay. Kritika, come in on this. As you said, that on campus, there isn't really much discussion of the ongoing tension, the diplomatic tension between India and Canada. But overall, what is the sense, particularly among the Indian students?
Right now, Indian students which are in the middle of the studies are really concerned about getting the work permit which they are going to receive after the completion of the 2-year study which they are going through right now. So most of the students which are on the end of their course are really concerned that what are going to be the criteria, particularly for the Indian students to get the work permit. And I do also lie in the same category because I'm just about to finish my studies by the mid of next year.
Okay. Yes. So, but Kritika, in terms of getting an option or in terms of getting a job, what is the job scenario right now there?
A job scenario for the new student plus the students who came in this year is quite tough because they have released a new rule of just a category of a few students who can do like 40 hours, and we being coming to Canada in this year, the starting of this year, not 2022, we are just restricted to 20 hours. So basically the student who came before are occupying the place for 2 students at a place. So new students coming here are really finding it quite difficult to get a job. And in terms of the references, if they do have real good connection references, it's quite easy for them. But the student who are thinking to start from the scratch, it's going to be quite difficult for them.
Okay. And a quick word from you, Aditya Bhati, what will you be telling the students? They should not be getting so, it's not a long period of uncertainty. It's perhaps temporary and a week or 2 max.
Correct. I think the basic message to students and parents alike is there's nothing to fret about. On ground, the student itself is safe. So there's nothing in terms of concern to be what this will happen to the student when they reach. As far as going to Canada is concerned, in the worst case scenario, you'll probably have to defer to next intake if you're not able to submit your visa application on time or you don't get it on the decision on time. Other than that, there's nothing to worry. Canada remains a safe, welcoming, secure destination for Indian students, and I see no reason why that's going to change for a long time to come.
All right. Thank you so much. Aditya Bhati, Kritika Bhardwaj and Paras, I hope you get the visa soon and you can go for your higher studies. Thank you so much. And it's a day of celebration. Tomorrow is the big celebration of Dussehra. We are going to Guwahati now for a very special Durga Puja celebration in a temple where the goddess is offered prayers round the year. But during Durga Puja in Guwahati's temple, special prayers are offered. Thousands of devotees come to this temple. It's a tradition, an old one, almost 970 years old. Ratnadeep with this story. Best wishes to all of you.
It's a rush of devotees for the special Durga Puja offerings at the auspicious Ugratara Devalaya in Guwahati's Uzan Bazar locality on the banks of Brahmaputra. The present temple of Ugratara was built by Ahom king Sivasingha in 1725 AD. But according to the Devalaya Trust, records of celebrations of Durga Puja at this temple have been available since 1044 AD, when Kamarupa was ruled by Dharmapala of the Pala dynasty and Pragyotishpura was its capital. Pragyotishpura is the original name of Guwahati. Its Durga Puja celebrations has crossed 9 centuries and going strong.
Ugratara is one of the most powerful Shaktipeeth. There are 3 groups of Ma, different types of activities, Samunda, Dakshina Kali and Nil Saraswati. And Ugratara itself, one of the powerful deity throughout the world.
The priests explain how this Durga Puja, arguably one of the oldest in Assam, has some special rituals.
वो बाहर का जो पूजा है ये हमारा यहाँ में शक्तिपीठ है वो है इसलिए बाहर में 7 दिन होता है और हमारे यहाँ में 3 दिन होता है सप्तमी से नवमी तक हमारा यहाँ में पीठ है इसलिए हमारा आवाहन भी नहीं है विसर्जन भी नहीं है
Ugratara Devalaya is believed to contain the navel part of Sati, which fell here from the shoulder of her infuriated husband Shiva following her death at the Dakshayagna. Tara is one of the forms of Durga. For any Guwahatian, during Durga Puja, offering prayers at Ugratara temple is an annual ritual of sorts. With camera person Sanjay Chakrabarti, Nakul Rabha and Ratandeep Chaudhary. Osama Shah for NDTV.